Today we're going to be talking about power control on your catamaran. Yeah, that's right, it's Joe here for Joyrider TV. A question that comes up quite a lot is, what is the best means of controlling the power on different points of sail, especially when it's windy? Let's start off by looking at our points of sail. The most powerful, powered up point of sail is the beam reach. If you keep this in mind, then controlling the power using the steering should be quite obvious. If you keep in mind, the more you turn towards the beam reach, the more power you will get on the boat. If you are sailing on an upwind course and you get hit by a gust, by turning away from the beam reach, which means turning more into the wind, that is going to reduce the amount of power on your boat. And if the hull has been lifted, the hull will come down. If it's a big gust and you have to turn a lot to get the hull to come back down and the boat slows down, although you will be controlling the power, it's not a particularly efficient way to do it. So in the big gusts on the upwind point of sail, you should be using a combination of steering and main sheet to control the power. If you're constantly having to sheet out to control the power, then perhaps you need to look at something else, like perhaps you need to pull on the downhaul more. If you're on a Hobie 16, perhaps loosen the jib halyard tension by about an inch or so, see how that goes, or maybe ease the traveller out a short distance so that you don't have to be easing the main sheet quite as much. But a combination of main sheet and steering is the most efficient on the upwind course. Just steering if you can steer up a little bit and not lose speed. But if you are going to lose speed because you have to steer so much, then ease a little bit of main sheet as well. As soon as the hull starts coming down, whatever it is that you just did, you should do the opposite. So if you just steered up to lose power on the upwind point of sail and the hull starts coming down, then as the hull starts to drop, just come back downwind a little bit. If you have used a combination of main sheet and steering, then as the hull starts to drop, bring the main sheet back in, and then if the hull continues to drop, then steer the boat a little bit away from the wind to keep the power on. So that is the upwind. If you are sailing on a beam reach, which is the most powered up point of sail, then the ideal is just to control the power using the main sheet. Set the traveller to a position where you're comfortable and then play the main sheet from that position. Of course, if you're going for maximum speed, refer back to the video that I made recently on how to sail fast, and that means that every time you lift the hull, you can sheet out, bear away a little bit, and then sheet in again to get more speed. But if you're just going from point A to point B, just playing the main sheet is your power control. And then on the downwind point of sail, again, controlling the power by turning further away from the beam reach is key here if you want to be efficient. So if you're sailing on a broad reach and you get hit by a gust and you want to control the power, as soon as the gust hits, then turn the boat more away from the wind. If you're sailing without a spinnaker, it is worth easing a little bit of main sheet as you turn away from the wind, because that will just take the load off the bows enough so you don't stick the bows in. The key there is as soon as the gust hits, that's the time to turn more downwind. If the gust then drops, then you want to, like on the upwind, we want to do the opposite. So we'll bring the boat back up onto that broad reaching course as we were before. So gust hits, bear away slightly, ease a bit of main sheet to take the pressure off the bows. Gust drops down, then just bring the boat back a little bit, but never further up than the broad reach if you are wanting to sail on a downwind course. If you're sailing downwind and you get hit by a very strong, violent gust, which immediately drives the bows down, this is where things are different. Then just put the boat quite aggressively up towards the wind, and let's say 8 times out of 10, that might pop the bows out. It's not very efficient, and that would usually happen because you've missed that gust coming and you didn't respond quickly enough in the first place, which means then you have to take quite a drastic measure to get the bows out of the water. If you are sailing with a spinnaker, then please refer to the video on sailing with spinnakers and all will be explained there. Okay, and I think we should go for a drop. So, just to summarise, the beam reach or the half wind point of sail, if you consider this to be the most powered up point of sail, if you turn away from that point of sail, you're going to have less power. If you're sailing downwind, turn more downwind. If you're sailing upwind, turn more upwind. All the time, if you turn into the wind, you will lose power. But if you're further downwind than the half wind beam reach point of sail, it's not going to be particularly efficient. So I hope that's cleared some of that up for you if you had burning questions on that topic. If you do have any more questions, then as long as I don't need a boat to answer them, I can answer them with words and pictures. So thanks once again to everybody who's been supporting the channel. Stay tuned, subscribe if you haven't yet subscribed, then you'll know when things are coming up next. Have a look through the archives before you ask the questions, because there's a chance that the questions you're going to ask have already been answered already in previous videos. So have a look there. Thanks very much, and we'll see you next time.